Welcome back. One of the things that we have done across all data services is hardcode the URL of the services. One of the important things is as we change from one environment to another environment, these stuff can change. That's the reason why we would actually want to create constants and use for all this stuff. What we'll do now is we will create a constant file. Let's go to the root folder of the app over here. Let's create a new file. Let's call this app.constants.ts. And over here, we can create all the constants that we would want to use. At a later point in time, we can replace this based on which environment we are working with. So what we'll do is we'll create a constant. Just call it API URL is equal to, and you can put the URL of the API in here. I'll copy this and paste it in here. Now that we have created the constant, let's go to the to-do data service and try and make use of this constant. If you look at the to-do data service, we already have this URL hard-coded in here. So what I can do here is dollar within braces, put that specific thing. It would give a compilation error, control space or command space, and import the API URL. So you can see that it's being imported from our constants. Yep, that's right. And now let's see if retrieve all to-dos for the user page continues to work. You can see if I go home and come back to to-dos, it's working. So the URL change that we made is fine. So let's go ahead and replace this in all the other places where we have hard-coded it in this specific thing. Cool. And over here, actually it might be a good idea to find and replace across all the files. So now we have replaced it in this specific file. You do an update and save, or if you do want to do an add, you'd see that they all keep working. Oops, I have to learn to dance. Let's delete one of them. Cool. So it continues to work. The other thing we can do is related to the authentication service. So in the basic authentication service, if you look at our tokens and the authenticated users, which we are setting into session storage, there is a big chance that you might have typos. So you can use constants even to prevent that kind of stuff. So I'll say export constant, and I'll have a token constant, and I'll have a authenticated user constant. Export constant authenticated user kind of a constant. Oops, I don't really want to import it from anywhere, so I'll say export constant is equal to, and I would want to use the strings which are present in here. So this is authenticated user. I just want to not make mistakes, so I want to copy it from here. So copy it and paste it down here. So what we are doing in here is making sure that we are using a constant wherever possible. This would ensure that there would not be any typos. If you make a mistake with the constant, you would get a compilation error. So that's better than finding problems at a later point in time because I made a mistake with a typo. So I would go for token in here as well. And the same thing with the authenticated user. So whenever you find yourself using the same kind of a string, same kind of a value multiple times, I would recommend you to use a constant to represent the value and use it across the place. That's cool. So we have just one more left. Let's do that as well. Over here, you can see that I'm still using the older thing. So let's, while we are at it, while API URL. And one of the most important thing is whenever you are changing the API URL, make sure that we are using ticks. So we are using ticks over here, so it would get replaced. Now let's make sure that the application remains working. Update, yep, save, delete, add, and log out and log in. Cool. Now we have the entire application up and running, and we have refactored it a little bit to use constants. The great thing about having a URL as a constant, at a later point in time, you can replace it with a build variable. So app.constants.ts could be the single most place where you would put all the variables, and when you're building something for a different environment, you can replace it with the specific value for your specific environment. I'm having a great time, and I hope you are having a great time with the course as well. I'll see you in the next step. Until then, bye bye.